Hi, and our presentation is about engaging students in dialogic interaction through writing. Next, please.
Okay.
And our case study is from a group of secondary 2 English written assignment free writing and the feedback given by Miss Ada Mok at Po On Commercial Association Wang Shiu Cheng Secondary School. And let us introduce the first 9 philosophies. Next, thanks. And the first philosophy is goal-driven, and it means to increase learning effectiveness by catering students' individual learning needs. And in this school case, they add free writing in written assignment. And free writing can lead to following goals: increasing students' learning autonomy and motivation for communication, improving grammatical accuracy and writing ability. And the last one is the developing the trust and respect between student and teachers. And free writing is about student-oriented with a little bit of teacher guidance and communication between students and teacher, which can build up their relationship and also motivate students to learn and enjoy English. Next, please. And the second philosophy is human resources driven, and it means people involved in developing school-based curricula, including both internal and external human resources. And there are 2 major school teachers involved, Ms. Mok and Ms. Cotton. And Ms. Mok used an array of feedback types which are encouraging, and while Ms. Cotton shared appropriate behavior of teachers when they mark the writing of the student and provide suitable guidance for teachers. Next, please. And now come to the third one, resources driven. And there are different inspiration for student writing, as it is free writing campaign and different forms are invited to join the campaign. And teachers and students can suggest writings different daily topics. For example, personal or interrelationship topics. And for data analysis, the panel has defined different common mistakes. And there are some suggested comments for language related and or non-language related in order to provide guidance for students. Next, please. And the fourth philosophy is student-driven. In order to deal with the different learning ability, a pre-test and protest has been held to understand student English writing abilities before and after doing free writing. After finishing writing entry, teachers would give feedback on both language or non-language related aspects. And students can also, based on their ability to personalize their writings, which can give them learning motivations. Next. And here is the curriculum driven. And the interaction between teachers and students is very important while designing school-based curriculum. And writing a free entry, students are able to talk with teachers by using words. It provides a chance for them to express their genuine feelings. For example, a student wrote a love letter to Ms. Mok and telling his bad feeling about the pressure of homework, and it is easier to express the deepest feelings by words than face-to-face chatting. And other students wrote an advantages of free writing in their entry. And it helps teachers to adjust the curriculum by referring the comments from students, and it results a better communication and relationship between teachers and students.
Next, I will talk about the teaching driven. Teaching driven can be divided to teacher-centered and the self-directed learning and cultivate the interest of reading and writing. The first one is the correction part, which fosters the ability of self-learning. This motto you can see in here, although they direct the student attention to the form of his or her own writing, to escalate their confidence, and also it encourage them to progress, like learning from the mistake. Next page is the common part, which encourage them to exchange the experience, like the free writing can let them to write more questions to the teachers, and also for the question part, which can escalate their ability to share the ideas and communicate with their teachers, then which gradually increase their motivation of self-learning. Next page is to the teacher-driven. The teacher-driven can be divided from 5 parts. Next page, please. Next is to the teacher-driven, which can be divided to 5 parts. The first part is to study the advantages of free writing is to increase the communication between teachers and students by providing the autonomy for students to learn because they can write the topic by themselves. And also, it can interrupt to observe student characteristic and learning progress. Like the student can write their own topic and the teacher gives the more positive and encouraging non-language related comment. Next page is also the develop and evaluate and implement. And the develop is to cooperate with the student needs teaching content and the way of teaching. Students need to practice more in order to improve their English. And also to evaluate is to observe the performance of students. Teacher may give feedbacks or talk with them or after reading and writing. And also for the implement is to understand the capability of the teacher and the student in order to tune the goal of the teaching style. And for the process driven, next page please. The process driven is mean dynamic, relative, and action research, which can be divided to 5 parts. The first is studying. Study the information about journal writing. For example, Ms. Kaur can wrote the article to the journal writing, like to share their own experience. And also for the implement in one's class, give corrective feedback for the grammar mistake and some language uses. And also for the evaluating, collect the student opinion on the free writing by interview. And also for the reflecting part is to pre-test and post-test. And the final part is the correction that can give them to correct their grammar mistakes. Final, next page. For the administration driven, so to adjusting the power and the responsibility for different level. First is the principal illustrate the benefit of free writing by the school newspaper, and the teachers is a supporting role help the student to improve language or grammar problem. So to show some appreciation where students have done well to encourage the student, and the student have no preset topic for free writing, which enhance the flexibility and autonomy of writing, and they can give some feedback from the teachers. And next page is talk about the 4 stages, and I will start to talk about the preparation stages. Ms. Moore is to have the role to play is that participating the role of helping students to achieve self-learning, and the research team to investigate the progress of the student of different level, and also the principal attentions and participation. At this case, the school level, which means principals, support the implementation by carrying the advantages of free writing, and also for the members' participation willingness and attitudes, Ms. Mock highly participating in free writing, which improves the student skills by giving comments and talks to the student if needed. And other teachers relatively low participation because they can't join the scheme. Next page.
The exploration of network and resources evaluation can be divided into 3 parts, which are way of teaching, students' engagement, and teaching content. For the way of teaching, this curriculum is interactive. Students can talk anything with the teacher in the writing, and the teacher is willing to give them feedback. Students are expected to learn from what they write. Under the interaction between teacher and students, teachers can know what students really need. It is easier for teacher to modify the teaching mode in order to get a better curriculum design. Students can more engaged in the writing English. In the past, students could not choose the genre and topic of the writing assignment, but free writing is no limit on what they write. Students can be more active because they get learning autonomy. Also, the content is up to date because the writing topic can include what is happening recently. Students can write something in which is related to their daily life or past experience in free writing. It can enhance the motivation of students to learn English. Next. Free writing has a great flexibility since it doesn't require a lot of equipment and time. Moreover, it can provide students reserved flexibility on choosing their own topic. Next. Next, in designing stage, we will look at the curriculum plan's objective and structure of this school. First, in terms of objective equal with school and social needs, we have discovered from the school case report that the school aims at nurturing students' forming perspective, which are positive learning attitude, self-directed learning, understanding and appreciating yourself, and the last one, handling feeling. That is not only what the school wants students improve, but also the social environment. For the second part, we will look at the objective considering students' abilities and interests. Free writing can help catering students' different learning interests and enhancing students' learning autonomy. Thirdly, according to objective comprises knowledge, attitude, and abilities, the school has shown clear objective. In the perspective of knowledge, grammatical accuracy, usage of English in writing. For attitude, it aims to nurture students' writing habits and be positive towards writing. For abilities, it aims to enhance communication skills. Next. In terms of teaching material, the school had good preparation for students. School encouraged students to join different activities and inspire them during those. That inspired students to think more and have much more topics can be recorded in the free writing campaign. Teachers will provide recommendations and feedback after those writing. Next. In order to make the free writing campaign easier, teachers have done a great guideline for students. This can motivate students to do their writing according to their daily personal matters. The guideline is catering different learning needs and ability of students. On the other hand, the tailor-made comments can ensure students learn something during the free writing. And as the comments are focusing on their mistakes, according to the table, teachers try to act as an audience and respond to the writing. This can inspire students to think more. Next. For the experiment section in the designing stage, it aims to give feedback from students for the trial stage. There are two actions done by the teacher in the experimental stage. The first one is the trial scale and schedule. This school-based curriculum was only implemented in one class to see for a year. Then the teacher used pre-test and post-test to find out the effectiveness of the free writing on improving students' writing ability. The second action is the exchange of teaching experience. The English teacher of class 2C, Miss Mock, she is the only teacher that conducts the scheme in the trial stage. She shared her opinions and tips to the teacher in the end of the year to promote this scheme. Next. For conference in the implementation stage, teachers really understand the spirit and connotation of the plan, such as the teacher recognized free writing is useful for students' writing skills, genuine communication between teachers and students, and enhance students' learning autonomy. Presupposition and discussion of curriculum plan problems, we can observe that there is no exchange of teaching ideas. Ms. Cotton and Ms. Mock both have different ideas on whether should use red pens on about personal problems or not. Yet there is no consensus, but so they have different ways at last. That shows there is a lack of discussion of the curriculum plan. For the good part, the diversity of students can be taken care as students can just adjust the word count by themselves and by their own ability. Under this circumstances, teacher will give advice according to their abilities. Next. For preparation of teaching to promote self-learning, reasons for doing free writing are provided to students in a bid to encourage students' writing motivation. This can persuade students to start writing since it has benefit. Free writing has a clear goal. Teachers want to initiate genuine English communication. Thus, they will have different marking direction, not only stick to the traditional writing marking, but they would give some non-language related comments and give responses to their writing. Next. For implementation according to curriculum solution, teaching is flexible and not limited by progress. Teachers are not limited by subjects. Students can explore and learn from various language areas and have enough time to learn complete concepts. Instead, it depends on the scope, characteristic of the subject, interest, and the nature of teaching materials. Also providing real situation of applied knowledge to encourage children to develop their thinking abilities through teacher and students interaction.
For the implementation stage, teachers are able to understand the needs of students. They can chat with students through free writing. They don't need to meet the students one by one. This curriculum is time-saving and effective in adjusting the teacher content. There is some research from the research team doing free writing can increase the quantity and quality of students' writing. Using a variety of feedback types can motivate students to write more. Students will have more practice because they have more motivation. Next page, please. In terms of students' learning results, strong and weak students will be divided in two groups. There will be a different approach and after-school report is needed. Since teacher needs to look after different learning needs students, the good and the weak points will be listed out and analyzed by teachers. To make it easier to read, there are table forms to follow up with certain students. There are also pre-tests and post-tests to test the effectiveness of teaching. Next, please. For the teacher professional growth in the results evaluation stage, the teacher participation can be divided in 5 phases. With each phase, their professional autonomy gradually advanced. The first stage is the planning stage, but there is no planning stage in this example. The second and the third stage are the concern phase and field exchange phase. The teachers have analyzed the advantage and studied the article of journal writing. Then they master the skills of communicating with students in free writing, encouraging students to share their feelings and helping students to improve their language. Then they decided to state the free writing scheme in the whole school. The fourth phase and the fifth phase are the startup phase and advocacy phase. The school implements the free writing scheme in only one class in the startup phase. The teachers in charge share her experience with another teacher, so all the teachers can gain something from it. Then the scheme has been implemented in the whole school. The school even published a writers list to develop this strategy for the curriculum. Next. Teachers and students are both satisfied with free writing. According to Ms. Ada Mock, free writing is a bridge connecting her and her students. According to the students, they can write more about their personal feelings and share their things to the teachers. Next. Next, we will talk about 6 principles. For the depth and breadth of this scheme is actually not so obvious. Since topics are all depends on what students would like to write, they usually write some daily topics instead of some high-level topics. For the breadth, since much room is provided for the students, there are different kinds of topics, such as personal, social, interpersonal, and etc. Next, please. Students can achieve 2 types of learning experience. At the school, they can share their genius thoughts with the teachers and receive the feedback from the teachers throughout the free writing. Outside the classroom, students explore their interest topic and do research from the English newspaper. Next. For the school's objective of learning in free writing, teachers want students to apply proper language usage, learn in previous lesson, and to distinguish the accuracy and grammar. For the attitude part, students are expected to establish positive learning values, to establish writing habits, and to nurture the interest towards English. As last, in terms of skills, it is hoped that they can describe their own thoughts by writings, practice communication skills, and practice English language usage. Next. For the sequences of the free writing, the simple to complex learning strategy has been applied. Here is an example from the report. In the first term, the student has the area of soul and soul debt. But after the practice on free writing, he can use the word so and so that appropriately in the second term. On the other hand, students are also writing more words comparing to the first semester and the second semester. Therefore, with this strategy, it would be more efficient for students to continue and accumulate the language in order to connect and fill up the space between the contents of each lesson. Next.
The second strategy used in the principle of sequence is prerequisite learning. It helps students to learn by linking up the old knowledge and new knowledge together. The old knowledge means the basic English language learned from the previous lessons, such as the different tenses of verbs, passive and active voice. The new knowledge would be the writing skills learned from free writing. For example, the connective writing as first person and third person. Through the practice of free writing, students would become familiar with English writing in an effective way. Next page. To fulfill the continuity, spiral learning style has been applied in this curriculum. Next page. They would first consolidate students' grammatical knowledge to have a better foundation and develop students' grammatical accuracy. Then, the teacher would focus on answering students' queries, especially questions related to language learning and English. Next page. For learning and revising, teachers have a regular observation on the same grammar mistakes. For example, the usage of excited, excitement, and exciting. Students are easy to mix them up. So teachers keep an eye on these mistakes and give them reminders. Eventually, students can have a gradual improvement on the problem. Teachers give students positive comments and encouragement. Students have a positive response to free writing. Next page. The topics of free writing have a great variety and they can be related to students' daily life or the things happening in school. Next page. There are various daily life topics that have been used as the topics of free writing. For example, some students would use love letter, Halloween, and sports day as their free writing topic. These topics are correlated with their daily life so that the knowledge concept can be linked with the daily experience. Next page. Vertical articulation illustrates the relationship between curriculum contents, topics, or sequence. For the principles, aims, and objective, teachers took the initiative to explain the purpose and requirement of free writing, then suggested a variety of topics and genres and provided feedback when helps enhancing students' interest and motivation in writing. For writing abilities, the learning sequence is as follows. Learn prerequisites in advance and from simple to complex. Students base their desired topics to write without concerning word limits and topics. As time goes by, students have shown improvement on the grammar accuracy and usage of English. The scope of free writing is linked to other subjects. There is, next page. There is writing workshop with the topic of New Age. They can understand the changing of era. Students not only learn English language, they can also learn some knowledge about history. It helps students to nurture the habits of noticing history. Therefore, the curriculum can bring multiple and cross-subject learning to students. Next page. 4.6 is about balance. We can look into the appropriateness of proportion. The learning style of this curriculum is self-directed learning since they encourage students to write what they want. There is no specific material since the writing topics, it can all depend on students' interests. For forming a teachers group, teachers mainly give both language and non-language related comments, and do the evaluation before and after the free writing. Net teacher gives advice on marking journal writing as a kind of support. Students are the main audience of the curriculum. They develop their English ability by regular writing. At last, students can receive appreciation from the school. If they can reach a certain word count, they would include in the free writing writers list. Next page. Free writing does not have preset topics, which is active learning. Students actively write and practice swallow to deep and construct knowledge so as to develop self-learning. For the assessment part, it includes grammar correction, question part, and feedback. Also, students need to use similar vocabulary in next writing, which is their exercise, and students can learn from similar grammar. The learning activities can be divided as self-directed learning and teacher guidance learning. Next page.
So now let's talk about the reflection of effectiveness. Next page, please. There are 7 learning goals, and if a curriculum can achieve them, it is an effective curriculum. Free writing can enhance learning skill of students since there are not much guidance on free writing entry. Free writing can enhance students' learning skills. They need to write in English so their grammar, sentence pattern, and the writing skills will be improved. Students are responsible to hand in homework regularly, and they need to submit a free writing every week. Therefore, their responsibility will also be enhanced. Next page, please. For the school development goal, this curriculum developed the students to be more active to learn. They will be more willing to submit writings because there are no limits on topics. As different teachers need to work together on the word count list, effectiveness of the school will also be developed. The school will promote a culture of collaboration among teachers. Teachers can also enhance their professional attitude through this. Teachers gave a variety of feedback so that students can correct their mistake under positive comments. Sometimes writing diaries to teachers can heal their depression and other negative emotion as well. Next page, please. In order to implement a suitable school-based curriculum to students, teachers should take care of students' learning needs. In each school, there are students with different levels and different learning ability. Free writing do not have any limits, so students can write on their own levels. The writing content can be related to daily life. It will engage students to submit free writing. Moreover, students who write excellent will be prized in the school magazine. That's the reason why many students hand in their homework regularly. This curriculum can help students to have fun on free writing. It can be a meaningful activity for them because it engages the communication with their teachers. Next page, please. Now let's look at how the school maps out the curriculum framework that is balanced and broad, that leads students to have enriched learning experience. According to English Language Learning Key Learning Area Curriculum Guide, the school and teachers are encouraged to provide the following in order to fulfill different learning experiences of the students. This school has clear and manageable curriculum goal to foster communication between teachers and students and enhancing students' learning authority. Not only the participating group is small, but it also easier to manage the performance. Next page, please. The curriculum of free writing is a balanced but not comprehensive to the learning. Since the workload of students is suitable, but the writing genres is not enough. Teachers can provide all-round learning activities and encourage students to write a broad range of text type. Meanwhile, although free writing has provided different writing genres, it is very limited. Students should decide purposeful language learning materials and activities to contribute effectively to the meaning of a written text. It aims to develop student literacy skills and ability to express themselves in a diverse mode of communication. Next page, please. According to the Curriculum Development Council, this school does not fulfill the teamwork planning on English language curriculum, as there is only Miss Mock responsible for the free writing scheme and no extra scholar or other school party involved. Firstly, we suggest that schools should invite teachers, school panels head of English language or different year groups to take different roles in the curriculum development. Secondly, school can invite the external scholar to be an advisor. Thirdly, teachers can work on cross-curricular projects with other subjects teachers. Next page, please. Now let's see free writing have what kind of learning content. First, learning is well connected to students' daily life. They can express feelings or daily events. Second, students' learning motivation, interest, and ability is effectively catered for. The last one is the self-destruct learning is promoted. They can set their topic according to their interests. Teachers can encourage them to write more. Free writing of the school has done a very good job on above part. Next page, please. Considering performance indicator for school, for Hong Kong school, the curriculum content should ensure the learning well connected to students' daily life. Providing students to diversified learning experience, students' learning motivation, interest, and ability is effectively catered for. And self-direct learning is promoted. Yet in this school case, free writing cannot provide students with diversified learning experience. They can only keep writing on their own about their feelings. Free writings can have a little bit of change, just like bringing them to different places. By having different experience, they must write special vocabulary to enhance their thinking skills on writing. Then students' learning need can be treated. Next page, please. The school simulates the students' motivation by giving non-language related comments to encourage students. Also, the teachers has reported the role of teacher and being like a consultant or facilitator. There are some places needed to be improved. First thing is that they can well cater for learning diversity and provide different support in learning tasks with different learning styles. Also, free writing cannot promote different levels of thinking to develop students' potential. Throughout the process, teachers just correct simple grammar mistakes. Teachers can provide more enhanced vocabulary or use questions to lead high-order students to think out of the box when in their writing. Next is that they don't adopt effective learning and teaching strategies. It is suggested that it can enhance iterative learning by using a variety of strategies. The last one is not providing enough quality feedback to enhance effective learning. More suggestions like sentence pattern can be provided. Next page, please.
The strategies that the school has implemented in its school-based curriculum, language items include a range of grammatical forms and structures from teachers' grammar corrections, which can meet the learning target. Also, teachers will give several corrections and advice to students, which can enrich students' general skills by correcting the misunderstandings. However, it is suggested that teachers should give students more new knowledge like vocabularies. A critical attitude towards the ideas and values encountered in spoken and written English tests are not being valued. Next. For the planning learning method, the teacher method not only encourages students to write their views of their chosen book, but also use discovery method of teaching that teachers become facilitator in guiding students to think and solve problems by comments and questions. For teaching skills, teachers inspire interest and curiosity, such as self-recognition, realizations, and, for example, the grammar corrections and enhance students' learning confidence by giving them some small tips. And the next page. For the evaluations and feedback, students can learn from their mistakes and comprehend students' capability, so as to adjust the teaching content depending on students' interest topic in the learning process. However, only research team can provide feedback to the English teachers, and students cannot reflect their feedback immediately, which is not student-centered enough. They should collect some student feedback as well. For the KLA curriculum, KLA curriculum is to promote across KLA collaborations in enhancing English learning through organizing cross-curricular activities and provide some opportunity for personal and intellectual development. Free writing is a kind of self-directed learning as mentioned. It gives opportunities for students to pursue lifelong learning and cultivate students' interest in English. However, there is no course curriculum teaching design which is not effective to extend students' horizons, especially those who have lower ability. The next, teachers can promote course curriculum with liberal studies to encourage students to have more insight on different issues. More issues can be suggested for students. Thus, students can express their ideas in English, not only broaden horizons, but boost their English proficiency. And since there is no specific topics, students can select topics based on their interests. Students can determine the rightness of the topics. They can relate to other subjects, but depends on student motivations. If the self-learning motivations of students is high, it can be a good means to broaden their horizons. Weaker students seem unable to develop intelligence as they need more instructions from the teachers. To solve the problems, students with weaker ability first can choose some easy topics. If they have improvements, teachers can encourage them to do some level up topics. Teachers' comments can guide them to think more. And the next page. For the the previous page. For the preparation stage, Ms. Corney has given the liberal advice for improving the free writing skills by providing a platform to negotiate and communicate the implementation, but that lack of enough evaluation during the implementation stage and conference with the other teachers.
The next page. The school can't provide effective monitoring either, since they do not have related groups to monitor. Although the school provides a large teaching autonomy for Ms. Mok, there is no collaboration with other teachers. For the students' learning progress, progressive tests should be provided to the students. It can monitor the learning progress. As free writing does not have a model answer or standardized marking schemes, more concert standards should be set for curriculum effectiveness. Only one post-test is relevant as a formal evaluation. Awards are based on the work done. It should be based on the overall performance to evaluate the effectiveness. People who are on the writers list are not convincing since we don't know their English ability.
Okay, so going to the next part, also the performance assessment is talking about the, according to the Education Bureau, it's actually talking about the integral part of the curriculum, the pedagogy assessment, the cycle, and the role of assessment, of teaching, and also of the teacher. So you can see for the student, they should understand the learning objective, and then for teachers, they also need to understand the strength of the students and recognize some of the effectiveness of the learning, and also can they give the guides to the student toward the appropriate future learning. Okay. And then going to the next page is talking about there's a chart on the screen, so you can see it's captured the Senior Secondary Curriculum Guide by the Education Bureau in 2009. So it showed the requirements of the assessment, and there's two kinds of assessment that involve in the free writing itself. And then it's talking about the pretest and the protest. However, there's no evidence to show there's a pretest or protest inside. So the school will not be able to compare the student progress, the progress every year, currently, okay? And then we also talk about the pretest and the protest implementation of the trial stage is quite weak. And then we suggest the school to set up the pretest and the protest widely, and also talk about the to let the school to see the long-term result of the students, because it's a very important assessment to check whether the student learned something or not. Okay, and then we are going to the next page is talking about the requirement of the internal assessment. It shows the opportunity to learn and compare with others. So you can see the box is talking about the opportunity, and also there's a recording for tracking the learning progress, but it's not the summative assessment, okay? And then we also talk about the reporting. So there are some feedbacks and guidelines or grades or marks is going to be presented to the students in order to let them to improve. And then going to next page, we are going to talk about the effectiveness of student learning, and the teachers can improve the method of evaluation. So the teachers can relatively more choosing and define in the non-language comments or also a language comment. And also we talk about the knowledge, attitude, and skills, talking about how they express the feeling, how they do in the free writing for students. And then we also talk about the teachers. It's talking about the altitude. It's difficult to determine with the student of the scale, and also it depends on the student whether they want to write more or not. So it's talking about such kind of things, okay? And then going to the next page, we are going to talk about the different student learning process, and this can help the teacher to understand the efficiency of the free writing on the different students with different capabilities. And also the evaluation in different perspective is helpful as well. For example, the peer evaluation and the talking about the discussion between the teachers and the students, so that this can help actually. And yeah, of course, you can see the learning progress and the evaluation, and the teachers giving the chance of the peer evaluation, and talking about they can understand the efficiency through the chatting, and also the looking after the learning diversity. And then going to the next page, we are going to talk about the curriculum evaluation data. which means talking about the plan. So you can see actually the evaluation, there is a percent of data analyzed of class performance, but once again, it's not cumulative. So we can do a year by year comparison. So of course, it's a bit focusing on the student learning progress, but it's lack of the action plan. You can see on the right hand side, and also the regular report and the regular meeting, or even absence of the panel of coordinated teachers works, okay? And then the next one, we're talking about the summative assessment with the data analyzed. The teacher in charge is actually responsible to review the data. So you can see the data below, you can see the box and also the table that is made by the teachers. But the assessment is also talking about focusing on the students' learning effectiveness. You can see the tick and the cross on the table. And then last but not least is talking about the lack of the formative assessment to monitor progress, because the next one we are going to talk about is that there's only the summative assessment is present. The big data, something like that, is going to analyze all the data from the students. But there aren't any different parties options included, and also limited report is made on the formative assessment. So also lack of the absence of outside or school to monitor the progress. So this is the weaknesses of the curriculum of evaluation. And then last but not least, we are going to do the suggestion for the curriculum planning. Is talking about adding some new things in order to enhance the effectiveness. First of all, it's going to invite external parties to monitor the situation or maybe program panel, and also talking about formative assessments should be done in order to monitor the situation of students and also the teachers in order to not to stay on the right track. And also the guidelines for the students and the teachers in order to give them the support to the individual works, okay? This is the suggestion. So coming up to the conclusion, it's talking about SWOT for perspective, and we mentioned about the strength of this point is the aim of the framework, and the also the opportunity brought to the students. It's talking about different learning opportunities, motivation for them to, based on the school-based curriculum, to develop their skills. But also talking about the weaknesses, maybe the curriculum organization, and also teaching strategies, and the assessment, and also the fact it's talking about the lack of the professional training, or no external scholar or learning material is not diversified because the material is not is actually designed by the students, but not by the teachers, but they can only provide suggestion to do so. So that's why it's all the threat. And these are references, and thank you all for listening. This is our end of presentation. Thank you. Let me stop the